Well, if you're watching this video, then this means you're officially preparing for your first tournament, or maybe your first practice tournament. So congratulations for having made it this far. I know you're going to have a lot of fun. So at this point, you should have gone through the rest of the course and have everything prepared, and I'm assuming that you have. If you haven't, you might want to go back and prepare that now. So I just want to go over a few things with you just so you're ready for that first tournament. So remember what we talked about in our last lesson about appearing confident. You want to be confident at your tournament. Don't talk too fast. And try not to be nervous. Don't worry before the round. Don't worry thinking, what if I can't think of good things to say? Or what if I'm not in the zone and my brain is not in the debate mode? In my experience, thinking these things literally makes things worse, because then you start to panic thinking that you're not ready, and then your brain isn't in the debate mode and you aren't ready because you're panicking. So worrying about not doing good makes you not do good, with a self-fulfilling prophecy sort of thing. So in my experience, you just need to be calm and focused, and don't worry. If you've done everything I've told you to do, by this point you are prepared. And you're new at this LD, and LD, I won't lie to you, LD is very hard. LD is difficult. So your first few rounds, you might not have very much to say. You might not have good ideas, but that's okay. Just do the best that you can. And actually, going to tournaments is the best way to get better. I know over the past few weeks or months, or however long you've been taking this course, I've thrown a lot of information at you, and your head might be swimming, and you might go to the tournament and find you don't do too well, but everything starts to make sense as you proceed in competition. In fact, the best way to learn how to get better at LD, the best way to improve in your debating skills, is to go to multiple tournaments. Every tournament you go through, you get better. You don't even realize it, but you do. Everything I've told you throughout this course, even if it's confusing now, everything will start to make more sense as you go to more tournaments. And eventually you'll understand everything and it'll be second nature to you. And so even more than this course, no course can truly prepare you for doing well in LD. Rather, it's the practice and it's the experience. So it's good that you're going to some tournaments. Go to a few. This is really how you get better, not by because you learn more by doing, especially with LD. So anyway, at the first tournament, there's going to be 6 rounds, assuming that this is a real tournament. So if this is your first tournament, like not a practice tournament, but a real tournament, there are 6 rounds. You're going to have 3 F rounds and 3 neg rounds. Now, if you win 4 or more rounds, then you're going to break. And what that means is there's this word called breaking. Break basically means that you advance to the elimination rounds and qualify to the regional tournament, which is good. That should be your goal. So if you win at least 4 rounds, which is hard, 4 out of 6, then you can break. But I don't expect you to break. You're a first year. 90% of people where you are the first year, the first tournament, they don't end up breaking their first year. So in fact, if you only win 1 or 2 rounds, that's normal and that's fine. I started out at my first tournament winning only 2 out of my 6 rounds. That's perfectly all right. So yeah, 6 debate rounds, 3 F and 3 neg if you're at a real tournament. If you're going to a practice tournament, it probably won't have 6 rounds. It might have 4 rounds with 2 F and 2 neg. Sometimes they also have 3 rounds. You might have 2 on one side and 1 on the other side. I don't know. That depends sort of on how the person who's running a practice tournament is doing it. And then at practice tournament, there are no breaks. There are no elimination rounds. Sometimes there aren't even awards at all. It's just for practice. So anyway, but the rest of this applies to both real tournaments and practice rounds. So, what to prepare? How to prepare for your first tournament? First of all, with your flow book, pre-flow your case, as I talked about. You can either pre-flow it in with a pen, or you can make a little table in Microsoft Word with your case in a little square and print it out and tape it on right here. That works too. I find that's better. So pre-flow your case in for all the in your flow sheet for all the 6 rounds that you're going to need. So 3 F and 3 neg. Pre-flow your case in those flow sheets. Prepare that. So you're going to pre-flow your case, and then, again, you're going to have 3 F rounds and 3 neg rounds, so just keep that in mind. In terms of what to bring to the tournament, you want to bring your flow book, or your flow pad, right? You want to bring pens, because you have to write. You want to bring a drink, because you're going to get thirsty. Bring your binder with your cases, because you have to read off your cases at the podium during the round. If you don't have a case, you're in trouble. Bring your cross-X questions that you've pre-prepared, hopefully. If you haven't, go back to the cross-X question and do that right now. Your rebuttal sheet, bring those. If you haven't prepared those, go back to the end of the rebuttal section and do that now. Hopefully you've done that when I told you to do so earlier in the course. So make sure you have all your stuff together. Don't leave your cases at home. It has happened. It's not pretty. Bring all your stuff. All right, once you're at the tournament, to find where your debate round is. So how this works is the tournaments have what we call postings. And the postings is basically, it's a sheet of paper on the wall. It tells you who you're debating, when you're debating that person, and which room you're going to be in. You're expected to be very independent at these tournaments. Nobody's going to come and get you to let you know that you need to go to your room because your debate's going to start. If you don't show up, then you forfeit the round and your opponent wins, and it's all on you. You need to keep track of the schedule, and you need to know when your next round is supposed to start. And you're responsible for checking the postings and going to your room on time without anyone saying anything to you. But you can usually tell when the postings go up, because as soon as people tape it on the wall, there's a huge flock of competitors gathering around it. So if you see a huge group of people flocking around and staring at a section of the wall, that's probably the postings, and you need to go check that right now. So this is a little illustration of a posting right here. So we have flight A, flight B. I'm going to explain that in a minute. And we have the AF column and the neg column. It looks like Bob is going to be debating Jane, and Lori is going to be debating Tim. And Lori and Bob are AF, and Jane and Tim are neg, right? And it'll have the times here too, when the round's supposed to start. And you should be there 10 minutes before maybe. Now, about the flight A and flight B. My region does this. I believe every region does this. I'm not totally sure. If your region doesn't have flight A and flight B on the postings, then I guess you can just ignore what I'm saying. But I'm pretty sure every region, I think they do have flight A and flight B. I know mine does. So, for every round, there's flight A and flight B. What happens is the round is actually split in half. So say this is the posting for round 1, right? It's the round 1 posting. Round 1 is split in half. There's round 1A, and there's round 1B, flight A and flight B. You're only going to be in one flight each round. Okay, what happens is flight A debates first, and then flight B goes right after. So it's like 2 mini rounds within that round 1. So if you're flight B, so if you're in the 12 o'clock round, but you're in flight B, then you're actually going to be over here, right? Flight A goes first. So flight A always goes first. So they're going to start at 12 o'clock, assuming this is the 12 o'clock round. They're going to debate. Since flight B goes after, you probably won't actually start till 12:45 because you have to wait for the flight A round to finish in that room. And again, you're either in only flight A or only flight B. You're not in both flight A and flight B. That doesn't make sense because this is all just one round. The reason they do this is because many times they don't have enough rooms to fit everyone in, so they have to do this because otherwise people would have to be debating outside. And that's really hard, especially in the winter when there's a lot of snow on the ground, as you can probably imagine. So get to your room on time, even before. If you're too late, the judge is going to get impatient, and if you're really late, people have considered it a forfeit, and your opponent wins automatically because you never showed up. So make sure that you show up. All right, now you might also find on the postings, when you're looking at the postings, there's this word by that sometimes shows up. So, instead of Lori versus Tim, it might say Lori versus, and then the word by, like B-Y-E, Lori versus by. What that means is, that's very special. That means you got a bye in tournament lingo. And what that means is, think about what happens if there's an odd number of debaters at a tournament, right? If there's an odd number of debaters. Each debate needs 2 people, 1 AF and 1 neg. So if there's an odd number of people at the tournament, then one debater is not going to have an opponent, right? So if you got a bye, that means there's an odd number of debaters and you are the odd debater out. So there's nobody left for you to debate this round. So you don't have to debate. You automatically win the round if you get a bye. You win the round. And that's how that works. That's what getting a bye means. If there's an odd number of people at the tournament. All right. And then another thing we have to go over is timing rounds. So in many regions, in most regions, LDers have to time each other. So first of all, as you're in the debate round, you're going to have a timer at the table who's going to be giving you hand signals as you go throughout the speech, as you go throughout your debate. So as you're reading your case, they're going to give you hand signals telling you how much time is left. As you go through your rebuttals, the same. When they hold up a fingers, those are the number of minutes left. So if I go like this at you, that means 2 minutes left, 1 minute left, 3 minutes left, etc. This and this means 30 seconds. I don't know why, it just means 30 seconds. And then when they're going to start counting down from 10 to 1 and the last 10 seconds. That's what all that means. Now, if you have to time someone, then it's pretty easy. They're going to give you a timer. You punch in the times. They have a little sheet of paper that they'll give you that tells you how to time. It has instructions. And really, it'll give you all the instructions right there. Basically, you just, whenever it hits a minute, so if it hits like 5 minutes, you hold 5 fingers up. When the timer hits 4 minutes, you hold 4 minutes up, 4 fingers up. It counts down. This is 30 seconds. When there's 30 seconds left. When there's 10 seconds left, you go 10, 9, 8. When there's 0 seconds left, you stop the timer. Sometimes people go like this for 0. And And what happens is, so when you're the one debating and you see someone hold up a hand signal, they have to hold their hand up according to the rules until you make eye contact. So you have to make eye contact with them so that they can put their hand down. When you're the one timing, you put your hand down upon eye contact, or if they nod your head at you, you can put your hand down. If they're not seeing your hand and they're just staring at the podium, at their papers, it's okay to wave your arm a little bit, especially if it's been a long time and they haven't seen it, but don't go too crazy waving your arm all over the place like that. So yeah, just keep an eye out for the timer. Just don't look all at your sheets while you're the one debating. Now, in most regions, if you're negative, then you have to time the other flight in your round if you're negative. So, meaning Jane is negative in flight A, right? She has to time she has to stay late and time flight B. She has to stay in her room and time the flight B round, which is going to occur in her room after her round is over. Tim has to go to his room early because he's also neg, and he's flight B. He has to go early to time flight A in his room. So that's how it works. That's how you know when to time each other. And when you get to your tournament, they'll usually let you know if this is the case. If negative has to time the other flight. If they don't say anything about that, it might be that they get little kids, like 8-year-olds, to time for you, in which case you get a break and you don't have to worry about it. And again, they have little sheets there's a timer table at the tournament, a table where there's a timer lady who's usually really nice, and they have these sheets they give out, and those sheets help you to keep track of how much time's left. They walk you through how to time the debaters, so you don't have to stress too much about that. Okay, another important thing. This is a very, very, very common mistake. When you're timing a round, when the round is done, don't put the timer back. When the round is done, don't grab the timer and take it back to the timer table and give it back. The timer stays in the room through the whole tournament. It stays in the room. The timepiece, it stays on that table in the room. Don't take it out of the room and give it back. This is maybe the number one mistake I've seen among timers. They think that after the round's over, they have to grab the timer, put it back where they got it at the timer table. Not true. It stays in the room. All right, so now we know about timing. Now let me walk you through your first debate round. So before your first, when you get to your first debate round, you find your name on the postings, you go to your room. Before the round starts, get yourself all set up. Now, there's a certain seating arrangement that's agreed on. So the affirmative always sits on the judge's left. So the judge is sitting here facing this way. The affirmative sits on his left. The negative sits on his right. That's very, very important. And if your opponent is sitting in the wrong place, you should actually correct them and say you're sitting in the wrong place. Because if you're sitting in the wrong places, judges can get confused because judges expect the AF to be on the left and the neg on their right. And if they're not, then it can make for a lot of confusion. All right, so set up all your stuff, get your binders ready, and then just sit at the table and wait until everyone looks ready to start. So usually the judge will look up at both of you, and the timer will look up at you, and you and your opponent will kind of look at each other and do some kind of awkward nod, which is an unspoken, I'm ready if you are. And once it feels like everyone's ready, everyone will get up. Each debater needs to shake the judge's hand right before they talk and say, hi, my name is blah, blah, blah. So my name is Tobias Park. I'll be your affirmative speaker, or I'll be your negative speaker. Thank you so much for judging. Usually you want to let the AF shake hands first with the judge. Sometimes judges will also want you to write your name on their ballot. There's a little space on their ballot for your name. So if you want, you can ask them. Actually, it's a good idea to ask them if they want you to write your name on the ballot. So say, thank you for judging. Would you like me to write your name on your ballot? My name on your ballot? And if they say yes, you pencil it in on the ballot. Yeah. Sometimes there's already a sticker there though, so you can't really write your name in. All right. And then the after that shakes the timer's hand and says, thank you for timing. You don't need to introduce yourself because the timer doesn't care. So while the AF shakes the timer's hand, by the way, the neg shakes the judge's hand. So the AF shakes the judge's hand, the neg stands there and waits. Then the AF shakes the timer's hand while the neg shakes the judge's hand. Then the neg shakes the timer's hand and the AF waits. And then at the end, sometimes in the beginning, either in the beginning or the end, it depends on how your region does it. It's different. But at some point, you want to shake your opponent's hand before the round begins and say, good luck. And then the round is going to begin. So during the round, before each speech that you give, so before you give your case, before you give your rebuttal, anything, even cross-examination before that starts, ask, is the judge ready? And the timer? And my opponent? And make sure everyone is ready. And again, going back to delivery, you're not having a casual conversation with your friend. You need to act like you're up at a podium speaking to an audience on television. You need to act very professional in your delivery. Act like you're like the president of England or something, or the king of England. Speak with authority, speak loudly and slowly. We already went over how to do all of that. And be respectful towards your opponent. Watch your attitude. Watch your facial expressions while you're sitting at the desk. Many people, while their opponent's talking at the podium, they're behind their opponent and they're writing and they're making facial expressions like they're making weird faces. Don't do that because the judge can see and the judge doesn't like that. Yeah, and again, just be confident even no matter how bad the round is going. So that's during the round. Once the round is over and the 2AR finishes, clap. Everyone should applaud at the end of the round. Smile. Actually, you should smile during the whole round. It really helps you leave a better impression on the judge. Shake the judge's hand. Say thank you for judging. Shake the timer's hand. Say thank you for timing. Shake the opponent's hand. Tell him you did a great job. And again, usually the AF goes first, shaking the judge's hand, and then the AF shakes the timer's hand while the neg shakes the judge's hand. And then, yeah, same format as at the beginning of the round. And be loud and confident even when saying thank you for judging. Even when saying thank you for judging, be confident. In fact, be loud and confident the whole time, even when you're not giving a speech. And then one important thing to note after the round's over, don't talk about the round until the judge leaves the room and is out of earshot. So if after the round's over, you say, thank you for judging, thank you for timing, good job. And then you tell your opponent, by the way, you did great. I think you totally won. And the judge hears you, then you're probably just lost because the judge just heard you tell your opponent that you did a terrible job. So I almost learned this the hard way. So that pretty much covers preparing for your first tournament. And yeah, so you're totally ready, and you can go to the tournament, and you can rock this. So go ahead and have a lot of fun. I think you'll learn a lot. I think you'll have a great time. And then I have one more video for you. It's for post tournament. You watch it after the tournament or after the round robin or whatever, and that's learning from your experience at the tournament and improving for next time. So I'll see you then.